last night. I was lost in the jungle with Pitfall Harry, surrounded by giant scorpions and man-eating crocodiles.
Pitfall, designed by David Crane for Activision.
Well, I was working at Atari in the 1970s. In fact, I started there in 1977. And it was a fun place to work. We were working with Nolan Bushnell.
You had the Gang of Four programmers from Atari who wanted, you know, just a little bit of respect. They wanted some royalties. They wanted their names on the boxes of these video games that they're designing.
Four lead designers at Atari at the time demonstrated to the president of Atari, Ray Kassar, that our games in the previous year had made him $60 million in sales, while we were all making $20,000 a year salaries. He looked us in the eye and told us that we were no more important to the success of those products than the people on the assembly line who put them together.
They didn't give their programmers any credit. So he's like, why should I put up with this? I'm just gonna go do my own game.
It didn't take us too long to say, you know, farewell to Atari. And we founded Activision in 1979 on the premise that a video game is a creative work, like that of an author, and that we would give credit to the video game designer.
So they took him to court from 1980 to 1982, several lawsuits, none of them worked out very well for Atari. In the end, Activision, free and clear, becomes the first third-party video game publisher, becomes really successful at it.
And so now they're making games for Atari. And Atari goes, you can't do that. And the court said, yes, they can. If you follow these rules, you can do it.
The Gang of Four leaves, forms Activision, start pumping out some really great games. And 1982 is when Pitfall comes out.
Pitfall was a game that came about largely because I wanted to see a human figure as the main figure in a game.
It's one of those few Atari games at the time where it's not single screen, it's not a stupid space shooter like 1,000 others, and you're traveling on an adventure. But it's Pitfall.
Took a sheet of paper, drew a little stick figure, and said, there's my little running man, now what's he doing? Well, he's running, he has to be running on something, so I drew two lines that made a path. The path has to be somewhere, so I drew the trees, and all of a sudden it became a jungle.
In it, you are simply Pitfall Harry, and you swing on vines, jump on alligators' heads, and traverse underground caverns, dodging scorpions, while you try to find a bunch of different treasures.
When you'd swing on ropes in Pitfall, it would make a synthesized Tarzan yell like it did in Jungle King, but I'll bet you they didn't get sued like Taito did.
And along the way, it was pretty clear this was going to be something. This was, I could put this world in the jungle, I could put this character in a city, I could, you know, as long as he's run, jumping, and climbing on a side view screen, it could go anywhere in the world. And turned out to be a pretty popular genre. I think there were 1,000 platform games made after Pitfall.
That opens the floodgates for, you know, third parties on consoles. So, hey, Activision, you guys are pretty darn good.